Dear friends, dear men and women of the world, Clee, sending you a warm welcome of brotherhood. We have the great honour as the T of Latin 5 and Brazil 2 that we were chosen, and it is truly a great privilege to make this preparation. Thank you, beloved Creator, for giving us this opportunity, for choosing us so that we will be able to achieve the goal, and we want to give thanks to our Laitman for all of his devotion, for all of his love and wisdom that he is passing on to us. Through the writings of the Kabbalist, we are sending him a great embrace and gratitude. I feel a great honour that I was chosen by my T in Brazil to speak, and I hope my words will reach your heart. I'm a little excited because I'm speaking to this holy assembly. Thank you very much to all friends, the men and women who are on this exalted spiritual path, and I encourage you so that we will continue together and will not grow. HD respect to all the obstacles that life places on our path, not to leave the battle as ours, teaching us, and I want to tell you how I see this way in which the Creator is allowing us to have these disruptions on the spiritual path, so that our exerion and the prayer that emerges from the depth of our heart, by that we will reach the outcry towards him. He's waiting for our outcry in order to open the door for us and free us, and we can see already from far away the King's Palace glowing on the horizon. We see ourselves already united in Lishma knocking on the gate, and the gate opens and opens along with all the treasures and all the delights and all of the high streams which he had prepared for us from the beginning of creation. Thank you, friends, for being here, for being together with us. Let's be together all the way in the lesson. Let's listen to every question, every answer by Aravi. It's a special day like today, the holiday of Pin, that signifies the end of correction. It's a huge privilege that we have, and in our heart we feel a lot of joy that we were chosen. Thank you. Right asks, it is written, the Lord is near to the broken-hearted, a servant of the Creator, whose intention is to bestow, should be happy when he is serving their King. If he has no joy during this work, it is a sign that he lacks appreciation of the greatness of the King. Therefore, if one sees that he has no joy, he should make amendments, meaning think about the greatness of the King. If he still does not feel, he should pray to the Creator to open his eyes and heart to feel the greatness of the Creator. Latin 5. Please question for an active workshop. How can we reach joy together in the lesson? Again, how can we reach joy together in the lesson? Active workshop. Joy in the lesson. We have to draw the light that comes and changes us. So we have to be in prayer, in mutual guarantee, in prayer for the friends. I think that is most effective. I feel that what will make the friends most happy is the reason for which they came to the lesson. Each one wants to have the force of overcoming. Each one wants to draw the reforming light. Every friend wants to receive an opportunity to perform an act of pisto. If I succeed in making that will make the friends most, I'm certain of that. The more we get closer and aim to connect and try to bring the Creator and the goal into this connection into our efforts, this is how we'll be able to feel the friends' hearts and in them print, embed this happiness. It's in the air, it's between us. We have the study hall around us, we have the whole world seally with us, and the place is ready. We just need to glue the joy to the friends' hearts. We were rewarded with sitting opposite Ra, the greatest Kabbalist in reality, from all the places we could be in, from all the incarnations we could have had. We are now specifically before the one who can tie us to there with the greatest possible T, the greatest possible society, and we should believe that every day is a clean slate in the work. So the late whatever we had yesterday, today we have a clean slate, and we're asking the Creator, please connect us, glue us together for your sake. Together we will attain joy in the lesson. It's an action that we do together. We're as one man with one heart. Now we transcend the thought about itself. We have a goal. We're alert, we're ready, and we are right for what Rob is going to give to the whole society. Now we're asking for the light that reforms, that will work on us, and common will gladly continue. As Alex always says, today is the day of preparation of the Latin. Friends, it's allegria, it's joy, we can feel it in the preparation, we can hear that. Dear friends from the world CLE, we have gathered here in the name of the Creator. We have great joy because our intention is to bring Him contentment, and every day we are blessed by the Creator. He's given us the opportunity to be here in lesson, the opportunity to connect to embrace each other and work together with all the friends so that the joy of Purim will adhere to us. We are thankful to the Ra who enabling our connection here, and we're always together, friends, together with joy towards the Creator. Friends, God Rash says it is known that joy is not an entity but an offshoot and a result of something. If one has some pleasure, this pleasure yields excitement, inspiration, that is called joy. Accordingly, we understand that one who has no pleasure in his life has no room and ability to have joy because he lacks the cause and the reason that will engender this offshoot called joy. We see that little children are always happy. The reason is that because of the smallness of their minds, they can enjoy anything. They do not evaluate or calculate and find delight and pleasure in every little thing, and this gives them reason to be happy. This from Rabish Assorted Notes. What is joy? Let's read it again. It is known that joy is not an entity but an offshoot and a result of something. One has pleasure. That pleasure yields inspiration, that is called joy. Accordingly, we understand that one who has no pleasure in his life has no room and ability to have joy because he lacks the cause and the reason that will engender this offshoot called joy. We see that little children are always happy. The reason is because of the smallest of their minds. They can enjoy anything. They do not evaluate or calculate and find delight and pleasure in every little thing, and this gives them a reason to be happy. Again from Rabish, what is joy? Workshop. Let's enter the lesson with a heart full of joy from being together and feel the car there again. Silent workshop. Let's enter the lesson with a heart full of joy from being together and feel the Creator there. Shalom. Hello, we are studying from the writings of Bassam Shah 37, an article for Pu in Hebrew. It's on page 553. You can also find all the study materials in our websites in the Arot system. You can also send us questions live through these websites. Again, we reading from the writings of Bassam Shamari 37, an article for we must understand several precisions in the poem scroll 1. It is written after these things the king promoted Ham. We must understand what is after these things, meaning after Morai had saved the king. It seems reasonable that the king should have promoted Morai, but what does it say that he promoted Ham too when told the king, for we were sold, I and my people? The king asked, who is he and where is he? Means that the king knew nothing of it, although it explicitly says that the king told Ham, the silver is given to you, the people also to do with them as it seems good to you. Thus we see that the king did know about the sale. Our sages said about according to every man's wish. Robber said to do according to the will of Modai and Ham. It is known that where it says only king, it refers to the king of the world. Thus how can it be that the Creator would act according to the will of a wicked one? Is written, Morai knew all that was done. This implies that only Morai knew, since prior to that it is written, and the city of Shushan was perplexed. The whole city of Shan knew about it. It is written for writing that was written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may not be reversed. Thus how did he give the second letters afterward, which ultimately cancel the first letters? What does it mean that our sages set on him one must intoxicate until he cannot tell the cursed Haman from the blessed more? What does it mean that our sages said about the verse and the drinking was according to the law? What is according to the Lawan said in the name of Arabi may according to the law of Torah? What is the law of Torah? More eating than drinking to understand the above, we must first understand the matter of Haman and Mordai here said about the verse according to every man's wish meaning, and Mori, we should interpret that Mo's wish is called the view of Tura, which is more eating than drinking, and Ham's wish is the opposite, more drinking than eating. Asked, how can it be that he would make a meal according to the will of a wicked one? The answer to this is written next to it. None did, no one compelled. It means that the drinking was not compulsory, and this is the meaning of none did compel. It is just said about the verse, and Moses his face, for he was afraid to look. They said that in return for, and Moses hid his face, he was rewarded with, and the image of the Lord did he behold. This means that precisely because he did not need that meaning, he could make a screen over it, he was permitted to receive. This is the meaning of the verse. I have laid help upon one who is mighty. It means that the Creator gives help to one who is mighty and can walk in the ways of the Creator. It is written, and the drinking was according to the law. What is according to the law? Because none did compel. It means that he did not need the drinking, but later on, once they began to drink, they were taken after it, meaning they were already tied to the drinking, meaning they needed the drinking or else they would not be able to go forward. On this is called compulsion, and this is considered that they cancel the method of Modai. This is also the meaning of what our sages said, that the generation was sentenced to perish because they enjoyed the meal of that wicked one. In other words, had they received the drinking in the form of did compel, they would not have cancelled Ham's wish, and this is the method of Israel. However, afterward, when they took the drinking in a form of did compel, it follows that they themselves sent in the law of Tur to perish, which is the quality of Israel. This is the meaning of more eating than drinking. Drinking refers to disclosure of called knowing. Eating, on the other hand, is called light, of which is faith. This is the meaning of ban and tears, who sought to lay hands on the king of the world, and the thing became known to more. Inquisition was made of the matter, and it was found to be so. The matter of seeking or inquiry was not at once, and Modai did not obtain it at once, but after much work was the matter of the though revealed to him. Once it had become evident to him, they were both hanged. That is after the sensation of the blemish in it they were hung, meaning they removed these actions and desires from the world. After these things, meaning after all the labour and their exes that had made by the scrutiny that he had made, the king wanted to reward him for his effort of working only Lishmer for her sake and not for himself, since there is a rule that the lower one cannot receive anything without a need, as there is no light without a vessel, and a vessel means a need. Since he does not need anything for himself, how can he be given anything? The king asks Modai what we should give him in return for his labour, since Modai is righteous, whose work is only to bestow without any need to ascend in degrees, and he is content with little, while the king wished to give the light, of which is extended from the left line, and Mo's work was only from the right line. What did the king do? He promoted Han, meaning he made the left line important. This is the meaning of and set his seat above all the ministers. In addition, he gave him the control, meaning that all the king's slaves kneeled and bowed before H. For the king had so commanded, end quote, that he would receive control, and everyone accepted him. The matter of kneeling is the acceptance of the ruling, since they liked Han's way in the work more than Mo's work, and all the Jews in Shushan accepted a man control until it was hard for them to understand Mori's view. After all, everyone understands that the work of walking in the left line, called knowing, is easier than walking in the ways of the Creator. It is written that they asked, why are you transgressing against the king's commandment? Since they saw that Mori persisted with his opinion of walking in the way of faith, they became perplexed and did not know who was right. They went and asked Haman who was right. As it is written, they told Ham to See whether Mau's words would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. It means that the way of the Jew is more eating than drinking, meaning faith is the rudiment, and this is the whole basis of Judaism. This caused H a great disturbance. Why would Morai not agree with his view when everyone saw Morai's way, who argued that he alone was taking the path of Judaism, and those who take another path are regarded as doing idol worship, as it is written, yet all this is worthless to me each time I see More the Jew sitting at the king's gate, since More claims that only through him is the gate to the king and not that of H. Now we can understand why it is written Morai knew, meaning that it is specifically Morai who knew, but it is written that the city often was perplexed, meaning that everyone knew. We should interpret that the city of Shushan was perplexed and did not know who was right, but knew that if there would be A's control, that would mean the nation of the people of Israel, meaning that he would obliterate the whole of Israel from the world, meaning the people of Israel's way of Judaism, whose basis of the work is faith above reason, called covered mercy, and to go with the Creator with eyes shut, and to always say about oneself, they have eyes, but they see not, since Haman's whole GP is on the left line, called knowing, which is the opposite of faith. This is the meaning of the lots that H cast, as it was on why the day of atonement, as it is written, one lot for the Lord and one lot for as the lot for the Lord, means the right, which is in mercy, called eating, which is faith. The lot for Azazel is the left line, which is in fact considered good for nothing, and all that the other side stems from here. Hence blockage on the lights was extended from the left line, as only the left line freezes the lights. This is the meaning of cast poor, that is the lot, meaning he interprets what he cast. He says poor, which means P, the mouth of light. All the lights were blocked through the lot for Azazel, and you find that he cast all the lights down. H thought that the righteous shall prepare and the wicked shall wear. In other words, H thought that concerning all the efforts and exertions that Mordai had made along with all who accompanied him, word that they deserve. Haman thought that he would take that reward, that as H thought that he would take the lights that appear through the corrections of Morai into his own authority. All this was because he saw that the king had given him the power to draw the light of Mer downwards when he came to the king, saying to destroy the Jews, meaning revoke Israel's dominion, which is faith and the mercy, and make knowing the knowledge disclosed in the world. The king had replied to him, the silver is given to you, the people also, to do with them as it seems good to you, meaning as a man sees fit, that is according to his dominion, which is left, and knowing the whole difference between the first and second letters is in the word the Jews in the written synopsis, and synopsis, so copy, refers to the content that came out of from the king afterward. The written synopsis is interpreted, explaining the intention of the synopsis. It was said to be given out for a decree in every state, revealed to all peoples that they should be ready for this day. It does not say for whom they should be ready. Ham interpreted the synopsis as it is written, and he wrote all that Ham commanded. The word Jews is written in the second letters as it is written. The written synopsis to be given out for a decree in every state, revealed to all the peoples, and that the Jews should be ready for this day to avenge themselves on their enemies. Hence when Haman came to the king told him, the silver that had been prepared is given to you, meaning you do not need to add anything more, since the people also are given to you to do with them as it seems good to you. In other words, the people already want to do as seems good to you, meaning the people want to receive their control, yet the king did not tell him to revoke the control of Mordai and the Jews. Instead, it had been preordained that now at this time there would be a disclosure, of which is as being favoured by you. The written synopsis was to be given out for a decree in every state, revealed to all peoples. It means that the was that it will be published that the matter of disclosure of is for all the nations, however, did not say that the quality of Mordai and the Jews should be revoked, which is faith. Instead, the intention was that there would be a disclosure of wisdom, but they would still choose. Mercy said that since now is the time of disclosure of the disclosure of is certainly given so as to use theirs who does something that is not to be used. If it is not used, it follows that the operation was in vain. Hence, it must be the will of the Creator, and the Creator has made that disclosure so as to use. This argument was that the disclosure is only to show that what they take for themselves to walk in the right line, which is covered, is not because there is no choice, and this is why they take this path. This seems like coercion, meaning that they had no other choice, since presently there is no disclosure of. Instead, now that there is revealed, there is room for choosing of their own free will. In other words, they choose path of more than the left, which is the disclosure of. This means that the disclosure was only so they could reveal the importance of that. It was more important to them than it is, as our sages said thus far, Collie henceforth willingly, and this is the meaning of the Jews observed and took upon them. It follows that the disclosure of came now only so they would be able to receive the way of the Jew willingly, and this was a dispute between Mordai and Hm's argument was that what we now see that the Creator reveals the authority of is not so they would receive the, but in order to improve the meaning, that now they will be able to show that the reception of the is voluntary, that is, they have room to receive, since now is the time of the control of the left which shines, yet they choose. It follows that now they show by receiving that the right rules over the left. Thus the Jewish law is the important one, and Haman claimed the opposite, that the Creator's current disclosure of the left line which is in order to use the. Otherwise it would mean that the Creator did something needlessly, meaning that he did something and there is no one to enjoy it. We should not regard what Mordai says, but rather everyone should listen to him and use the disclosure of that. Now appeared that the second letters did not revoke the first ones, rather they presented an explanation and interpretation to the first written synopsis, that the matter of the publication to all the peoples, the matter of the disclosure of H that now shines is for the Jews. In other words, it is so that the Jews would be able to choose of their own free will, and not because there is no other path to choose. This is why it is written in the second letters, and that the Jews should be ready for this day to avenge themselves of their enemies. It means that they control that now, as is in order to show that they prefer to. This is called to avenge themselves on their enemies. This is because their enemies want specifically, whereas the Jews reject. Then now we can understand what we asked about the question of the king. Who is he, and where is he who dared to do so, and why did he ask after all the king himself had told Haman? The silver is given to you, the people also to do with them as it seems good to you. It is, as we have said, that the meaning is that the matter of disclosing is with the intention that the people would do as seems good to you, meaning that there would be room for choice. This is called the people also to do good with them, as it to do with them as it seems good to you. However, if there is no disclosure of, there is no room for choice, but that they take, it seems that it is because they have no choice. It means that all this came about because the king gave the order. Now that now would be the time of disclosing. The intention was that the left would serve their right. By that it will become apparent to all that the right is more important than the left, and this is why they seek. This is the meaning of me the scroll. For there seems to be a contradiction in terms here, since me scroll means that it is gal revealed to all, while esd means that there is concealment. However, we should interpret that the whole disclosure is in order to give room to choose concealment. Now we can understand what our sages said one must intoxicate until he cannot tell between the cursed ham and the blessed, more the matter of, and Estel was prior to building of the second temple, and building of the temple signifies the drawing of and is called the temple. This is the meaning of Morai, sending a stair to go to the king and ask for her people, and she replied, all the king's servants, etc., who is not called, there is one law. For him he be put to death, etc., and I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. It means that it is forbidden to draw the quality path downwards, and one who does draw, which are 3 each comprising 10, which are 30, is sentenced to death, because the left line causes separation from the life of lives, except he to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. Gold means and meaning, but only by the awakening of the upper one can one remain alive, meaning in iron hold life, but not by the awakening of the lower one, although means who needs it is only by the awakening of the upper one. However, if she draws, she loses her own quality entirely in that regard. Replied to her, then relief and deliverance will arise to the Jews from another place, meaning by completely revoking the left line, and the Jews will have only the right line, which is then you and your father's house will perish in the state of father founded. Their daughter she must have within her. It must be more eating than drinking. However, if the Jews have no counsel, they will have to revoke the left line, and thus their entire quality would be cancelled. It is about that she said, if I perish, I perish. In other words, if I go, I'm lost, because I might come to separation, as when the lower one awakens, it induces separation from the life of lives, and if I do not go, then relief and deliverance will arise to the Jews from another place, meaning in another way they would completely revoke the left line, as Modai has told her. This is why she took the path of Morai by inviting Ham to the feast, meaning that she drew the left line, as Morai has had told her. Afterwards she included the left in the right, and thus there could be a disclosure of lights below, and also remain in the state of adhesion. This is the meaning of meat, est, meaning although there is disclosure of the light of H already, she still takes the concealment that is there, because means concealment in the matter of him not knowing. It is explained in the study of the tense of that, although the lights of H shined, it is impossible to receive without the light of Ad, as this induces separation. However, a miracle was made whereby fasting and crying out they drew the lights of, and then they could receive the light of. However, there is no such thing before the end of correction, since discernment is from the discernment of the end of correction, at which time it will already be corrected, as it is written in the Zasam is destined to be a holy angel. It follows that then there will be no difference between Haman and Modai H, for Haman too will be correct. This is the meaning of on one must intoxicate until one cannot tell the cursed H from the blessed Morai. It should also be added with regard to the words that they were hung, that it is an indication to the hanging on a tree, meaning they understood that it is the same sin as the sin of the tree of knowledge is there to the blemish was in the G. Regarding set at the king's gate, it can be added that this implies that he was sitting and not standing, since sitting means V and standing means G. The article is thus for other questions. Please increases the left, causes the increasing of the left on the part of the upper one from the upper one. The upper one limits the left according to what when in the system does the time come when the left should be increased time its time, and until then the work should only be on the right, and after the left grows there is a different kind of work. In the work of the right we have to increase the right. The right can grow after the left is revealed. Yes, he writes here that the revelation of first comes by then we have to choose willingly. So first there has to be the revelation of the Creator, only then the preparation of the CLE lets. It's not clear to me, Preeds, where is that manifested it. Doesn't come, that's how does it happen in pouring. He described it here he described in the article, but I'm trying to understand that he describes that first of all there is silly, and then one should choose willingly by his own fall right. So first there is the disclosure of, and only then there is the preparation of the vessel of. Yes, shouldn't it be the other way around? The question is, how could it be so it appears without preparation? That's right, so that's why it's pro. That's how it happens in truth. Yet sits an unusual shape or form. Why, how can you have shine without the clothing of? So why is there such a change? Suddenly what happens? How come the system decides to proceed to have the first? That's also a matter of the holiday, meaning a matter of the time that then is the time for the revelation of. Okay. Question, he writes here in the text that only by the awakening of the upper one can we remain alive, meaning the attention called life, but not through the awakening of the lower one. What does that mean? The lower one cannot ask for attention, so who should ask for attention? The upper one prepares. So what is the operation of the lower one? The action of the lower one is to then choose that after the upper one acknowledges it chooses it, then the lower one can also do. So what is the action of the lower one? The action of the lower one is that he chooses on top of. How can the L know that he can ask to be N? At he doesn't have a choice. The calculation here is over a complete vessel. The upper one prepares everything, also the state of what's left for the lower one. Just reach out his hand and pick it. Yes. Okay, what does it mean that the action of the lower one is that he chooses instead of the action of the lower one is that he chooses over? What does that mean? That he has all the possibilities to receive the light of that appears, and he chooses. What does it mean? He chooses that he doesn't want to receive light of, and he actually prefers attention. The light of will disconnect him from a attention. Certainly the light of is the light of course, if he fulfills himself with light of were, then certainly he detaches from. It's not done through V or completion of some sort, but he completely prefers light of fulfillment, and by that he's killing himself. Why will he become disconnected from? He can remain in and in sight of it. He can't, because he has to be fully in. If the created being has built himself with the light of, he had prepared himself for the reception of the light of inside. The light of no, my, what did he have? He had light of, and he chose the light of, and now he can choose light of. Can. How do you choose the light of? How to choose the light of? By restricting one's desire, and then what you have left is a vessel to receive the light of. What does it mean that the created being meaning he hides his vessel, his desire? Yes, and he adheres to the creator. What is this action? What should the created being do? Their preferred attention. What does that mean? To prefer attention instead of receiving from the creator what he wants to give. Me to prefer attention with the creator as opposed to any other state. We can I prefer Adian. What does it mean that I prefer attention? That you want the result, that you have to fill up everything. I didn't understand that. Sorry, you want light of where you want the light of in it with as well to fill up all of creation. The whole whole vessel. How do you do it? I want to do it. How do you do it? What does it mean to perform this operation? You still don't have actions according to your desire. That you're talking about, meaning you can say words, but it's not happening in their desires. And here we're talking about a state where we have to reach a state where what the created being wants to happen, he wants it to happen in his desires. So right now I don't have this thing, so what should I ask for from the upper one so that they will have it? What is the right request? The right request is the rulership of the upper one, control of the upper one, that the light of comes and fills the CLE and corrects the CLE so as to receive the whole light of me. See if I got it right. So there is always the rule of the upper one. It Doesn't matter if the created being wants it or not, there's always the rule of the upper one. There is some point here, which is that the created being, the lower one, asks for the rule of the upper one. This is what it's about. This is what changes. Here, what does it mean that I ask that the upper one will rule me? Does it mean that I surrender? But what exactly do I subjugate? They're my will to receive. Ultimately, you say I have no importance of the will to receive, and all I want is to feel that the upper one rules me. Can yes it appears here as though is asking for something that she's not ready for. She's asking for without knowing that she has the to cover it be, because there's still no revelation here that it is forbidden, that can be disclosed only through the awakening of the upper one. And she seemingly does the opposite. The lower one she comes and goes to the king to ask for before the lower one knows that he has. This is why she says also, if I perish, I perish. She doesn't know how can such a thing be done. It sounds like it's not according to the order. That's what you have to think, can you? Right? Yes, toys the connection between, and says here that means she needs, but only through the awakening of the upper one. What is the importance? Why is it important for Mori to save? What does that mean? Because saving the means that will first receive light of right now. That's a situation that there is the control, or mal is under concealment at, is a situation right now, and the awakens, which is the control of the left lying, and now seemingly. I mean, why would it be important for Mori that the state of mal will not be destroyed? So how to achieve? For the point of view of Moti only wants the way of the Jew. That's what I'm asking. Why for Modi, who is only that's his whole quality? Why is the end of correction important for him now? What's important for him is to maintain that's his entire quality, but this way will not be fulfilled. Why is it important? Because they too are a vessel to receive light of. It's written that the way of the Jews is to cancel the left line and remain only on the right. Yes, why suddenly this quality? It becomes important for her that it would be a left line also, because otherwise their line, the right line, how will it exist? Everything is relies on one thing. The other one thing supports the other, or cancels the other, but you can't speak of one thing without the other. Yes, that's true. It also says earlier that comes in order to improve the, so he wants to improve the, and so then he uses the for that. Yes, okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Rob. I to continue the why precisely through the choice. When I choose, it improves them. The very choice the creator here gives us freedom of choice seemingly, even though he intensifies the left. But when I improve choose, it improves that willingly. Of course, why does it improve them? No, make it well. Who's going to say? Explain what you say. Can I read this? Except if you allow me. He writes here that when the creator reveals the control of the, it's not in order for them to receive, improve the, meaning that now they will have a room to show that the fact that they receive the, it is willingly, meaning there is room to receive, because now it is that control of the left when the shines, yet they choose. And I'm going to ask another small question here of what does that mean, that there is room to show that they're receiving willingly, meaning there's still room to receive, because even though now it's the governance of the left and these they choose, we actually willingly choose the, and by that we it improves them. Why is that? Because by that we increase the CLE, by that we attribute to the vessel of all of our labour. All that can appear on the left we attribute to the right. So there is free choice here, or is it really a well, it's what there is. You understand, to say that it's that there is, or isn't, it's whatever there is depending on the issue. That's what he explains. Last question. Our way is always in overcoming the left. Yes, there's no state where I mean here. Later, he also says that there is some state of equality between the two forces. Is there such a point when we reach a state of equality or equilibrium between the two forces? Yeah, there were such partial states, so to speak. Said, well, they didn't know who is right. Where does justice lie? But are these real states, or they can't exist except in theory? That remains to be seen. Thank you very much, Rob. Yes. What does it mean that there is no difference between Ham and Mudai? Because they both wish to reach the revelation of the Creator, revelation of light. Indifference between them is that it needs to appear in light of, or directly in light of it, should always be preceded by it. Why the preceding? Otherwise you can't receive the in order to bestow. No. Can anyone has any input? I will ask about that when the being arranges for himself a clothing of, so that they can cloy in it. This called the way of faith. This is considered he receiving our inner way of faith compared to everyone else who are receiving. Okay. So what I asked now, can you please repeat it? There's no difference between Ham and yes, exactly. This is how we can discover it wants directly that, but it's through the way of faith. That's how he wants it. Is this how it is? No, but that's the matter of intention. There you either attract or you illuminate with, by which he praises. That is all right. Okay. What maybe it's a matter of not knowing the difference between Ham and that it's that it leads to choice, that there is actually real choice between it. There's no choice. Please explain. If there's only doesn't grow yet, then you choose. There's no real choice, but when you limit and you do the work and you don't manage to increase, then you also fall to the left, but only when they increase and they're equal and you don't know what to choose, then there's real choice, because you're allowed to use and you still prefer. Only when you can't make the difference, can't tell the difference between the two, it means you're at a choice point. Okay, it says in the article of one who is a hero and can go in the path of the Creator, then the Creator gives him help. Yes, I would expect that one who's weak, the Creator will give him help. Here he says one who's mighty and can take the path of the Creator gives him help. So what does it mean to be mighty? So that the Creator will help me, that you have no forces of your own, but rather everything comes only through your adhesion with the Creator. This is why if you receive forces from above, then you think now you're mighty, but you realize it's not you. Nevertheless, it's not through your own forces. No. So no. David, did you want to add something? No. Okay. Can I wanted to ask Rob, what does it mean to enjoy the feast of the villain or the wicked? What does it mean to receive and blemish by that? Because it's without a clothing of, and therefore in. There are many explanations about that. Why is there the commandment to be intoxicated up to the point of one cannot tell, but everything is revealed like that in the end? It says in the article that when they started drinking, meaning revealing, right when they started drinking, then they were drawn after the drinking, and they needed the drinking, and they enjoyed the feast of the wicked. To not enjoy the revelation of the Creator, how can you to enjoy it? Depends on enjoying what, with what intention. Understand correctly. Firstly, all the characters are within the person. Ham, these are qualities that will appear within us. So he says that H wanted the reward of Moore's work to take the lights that appear through the corrections of meaning he calls it the righteous prepares, and the wicked prepares it, and the righteous will wear it. Or the other way around, meaning he wanted to use the corrections in order for his to use it for himself, but prepares everything he can. He sits at the king's gate, he doesn't use his in. Restriction is on the right line, only in greatness and praise, and what else could he? What else in order to not take the revelation, the light of what else could he prepare? You can't do any more, so that's the maximum he could do. Yes, more than that would be only working with the vessels of reception. So at some point understood that he couldn't stay in that stay because he didn't realize the purpose of creation, and then Andes appeared to him when he wanted to chase the king. A weird question I have in Bam's poem. The bright light that he says beware of reaching with your hand to him, and is that what we wanted to do? They wanted to approach the light and use it in their vessels. Yes, in their vessels. Okay, last question. The light of it is permitted to use to enjoy. There's no restriction. It needs right. Yes, thank you. Who? Okay. Why did send Yesdi to ask? He sent her to the king for her people. Why didn't he go himself? Yes, I don't know how you can imagine such a thing. There's the quality of he's in total loyalty to the king. He doesn't want anything for himself. Yes, now the man comes and talks about a different method. It says it's time to receive. I got permission from the king. I can receive, which means killing the method of the Jew where they is covering. Okay, so it comes from the king. So why isn't who's in a tension with the king says, okay, help me. Why does he need to dare to go and ask from there? Kinged seemingly. He needs to go to Ur, and Ur has to go and save all the Jews. No, says I. Can't. If I go, I'm the lower one. I come and ask for that's impossible. That's lost, and if I don't ask, then I'm clearly also lost because there won't be any in the world. Okay, so what are you proposing? I'm not offering, I'm asking. Why? Who is corrected? Who holds on to light? If he sits at the king's gate, he identifies he passed all the tests. He's a righteous, that quality. So why doesn't it come in? Why does he need isn't? Because is the queen, she is connected to all the vessels of reception, but he wants bestow to rule, not reception, but there are no such forces. There in bestow there are no forces. Let's read a bit more and see more. Hasten, it's written in the article, to go blindly with eye shut with the Creator, and always say about himself, I have eyes, but see not. What does it mean to go with eye shut with the Creator? That you're walking on the path using the vessels of bestow, and where you have vessels of reception, you don't want to use them. This is what it means, that they have eyes but see not, and continue in such a way until you reach the reception of the lights. Yes, we have here a Norse woman. Turkey 8 speech, foreign speech. For she's asking the friend is asking. In Pym there's a very famous maxim: one has to become intoxicated in porn until he can't tell the difference between cursed ham and blessed be. So she's asking, how does this statement relate to the how does it symbolize the transition in the soul? Meaning, how does a person come out of the boundaries of the soul, so to speak, from in order to receive to in order to bestow? And how can we realize this? What can we take from this to actual realization in our work on our path? Work is to try to be with the reception of the light of use, only the light of, and see where there is room for the light of, and when we reach it, then we should examine, how should I say it, about reason, that this is the place of the revelation of now. We also have MOS. The whole story here is about the fin correction, and it's not so clear this whole story didn't happen in vacuum. Why did the Jews reach doubts again? Because this incident repeated itself again and again and again. They had doubts they wanted to receive for themselves. There was shattering, there was plagues, and again and again it repeats, and they have doubts again. What is special about the story here? That all ultimately they're not going to try to receive for this their own sake. Again, we need to discover that the thing is that in order to receive the light of, we must have the light of, there's a clothing over it, wrapping that is clear to us. Know what else is not clear to us? Can anyone say how will they not repeat the mistake and break, shatter again? So that one take the same path, because there cannot be success on that same path, because the shattering already occurred. Well, this all depends already on the extent to which we will keep all the HMS we go through. Each time it accumulates and accumulates another correction and another correction over the vessels of reception, until we will later reach entirely to BTO. Okay, eventually it turns out that they hung ham and beat up all the rest of the nations for what they didn't have free choice. After all, the whole thing was that Israel couldn't make the right choice, and in the end all the others received the punishment. Good decision. I personally don't think that, because everything that the nation of Israel went through, it only happens so we can create this common vessel with the nations of the world that can accept the entire light of, that's it. So eventually that's all that will be the moment they doubts. And what are the Jews different from the nations of the world? They agree with H and also the Nations of the world agree with Hansu. And what are they different only in? Their previous history, not their history, but their commitment. They have to choose a different path. We do next, we can move to the next part of their lesson. Okay, let's do a song and then we'll move to the next article. We are studying from the writings of Rabash, the article number 910. Until he does not know, until he does not know, there are three discernments. One, not knowing the distinction between cursed and blessed, meaning that knowing that the will to receive is called H and the desire to bestow is called righteous has not been established. Rather, even when he works in order to receive, he considers it as being righteous. 2, the awareness that reception is called Ham and bestow is called righteous has been established in him. And 3, at the end of correction called very, when Sam becomes a holy angel, meaning that reception has been corrected with the aim to bestow. There will be no distinction between reception and bestow, since all the reception has been admitted into the aim to bestow. This is the meaning of one must be intoxicated, since all the occasions will be cancelled except for since it pertains to the end of correction. This is why we should imply the end of correction, where intoxication implies mitigation or sweetening, where all the bad has been sweetened, while in the not knowing of the first kind there's still no sweetening. Okay, are there any questions? Should we do it again? Article 910. Until he does not know, until he does not know, there are three discernments. One, not knowing the distinction between cursed and blessed, meaning that knowing that the will to receive is called Ham and the desire to bestow is called righteous. M has not been established. Rather, even when he works in order to receive, he is considered as being righteous, where the awareness that reception is called Ham and bestow is called righteous has been established in him at the end of correction, which is called very, when some becomes a holy angel, meaning that reception has been corrected with the aim to bestow. There will be no distinction between reception and pistil, since all the reception has been admitted into the aim to bestow. This is the meaning of one must be intoxicated, since all the occasions will be canal except for since it pertains to the end of correction. This is why we should imply the end of correction, where intoxication implies sweetening, when all the bad has been sweetened, well in the not knowing of the first kind there is still no sweetening. What Benny constantly exert at distinguishing between reception and bestow, and what is possible and what not, and here all of a sudden in the difference between reception and bestow disappears. Yes, how can you comprehend such a state? It sounds like either something scary or some anarchy. You can't distinguish between anything. What is such a state? Because everything depends on the intention. Everything depends on the intention. What does it mean that everything depends on the intention? You don't know that. Let's say you give some kind of gift to your child. He takes it and eats it and enjoys himself, so you supposedly have to thank him. So what was his deed? He doesn't have a mind. The action was reception. So how can it be that you don't see him as receiving from you? Contrary says if you have a matter with someone, an adult, so you give to him, and you have importance whether he takes it or not, and how he accepts it. Here, too, he wants to scrutinize in these articles how we need to receive actions towards the upper one. That's it. What does it mean that this distinguishing disappears, that we don't distinguish anymore, that we can't discern between them? So I said it's according to the same state that we know if child takes something from you and doesn't tell you thank you very much or anything, so do you enjoy it or not? Yes, you do, you enjoy it. We see that even if it's someone you love and you give and he takes it from you, so he doesn't have to thank you. It's not a must. That's how we too in our whole life relate to one another. So what are you Asking also when a person is unconscious or unaware he acquires, and even when he acquires some knowledge he still doesn't distinguish. So here's what. There's no distinguishing here that we don't understand or know, and also when we advance we stop to discern. As well, that's what I'm asking. Something strange that's happening. Here is it strange? Because there's like no distinction between them, yeah. So it happens to us a few times every time that there's reception and bestow, and the relation between the lower one, the upper one, and between the intentions between them. So there are such states that we consider the lower one as the upper one, or the contrary. That's how you can depict the end of correction, some kind of lack of distinction, or know the sermons in each and everything, not a lack of distinction. That's why it's called the end of correction. So why does he say that you can't distinguish between them? They're not capable of distinguishing between them. In the EV of correction called the light will be the Holy King called in order to bestow. That's why there's no discernment between reception and bestow, since a reception was entered in order to bestow. So clear, not clear? Okay. No des 3 stages. The first stage, where you are until he does not know, but you just don't understand that there's a difference between, which is what the preparatory stage here in a person. What is it? Let's say preparation stage. And then there's the second stage where you know there's a distinction. Yes, and at the end there's the end of question. What is that second stage? What is that stage where a person already knows that there is a distinction between reception and the Ilkin, and checks himself, yes, in what state he's in, and moves away from that state that he checks that he's on the part of reception, and he goes to the side of bestow. Mean this stage is already the stage of work, where person work and correction. Okay, thank you. Yes, women Mac 43 are asking, how can I check what 2 stages of does not know? Do not confuse spirituality with some work in our reality. Here we see it in our life, that if we don't prepare ourselves in the right intention, so we're always calculating in order to receive, and if we only have the intention to bestow, and it's important, so to the extent that's important, we try to only be in bestow. How do you identify that you're in the intention in order to bestow? He has a deed before him that he is giving, bestowing, and how the other one can receive from him, how he can answer what the relation between them is. That's it. Woman, please. Women Latin 26 are asking, how can I identify what drives me study of tea and keeping, whether it's from or from the side of what practical adaptations can I do to correct it? It doesn't matter which deed she's speaking about, it matters who is the receiver of the results of what you're giving or receiving, who is the one receiving all this, and according to that you choose can yes to the thank you. Good morning. 2 articles actually show us the importance of the society and the work in the 10, because they work on bestow, and even if there is in and knowledge kind of like on the left line, our role is take it like it did, she took it, she invited also ham to that. How do we now? Things are being revealed now. I'm certain that for each and everyone, how do we operate in such a state? How do we strengthen the connection in the 10, specifically from the left line being beginning to enter in us? Check ourselves all states, and we want to see which state is more corrected, closer to the correction, and those are truly acts of in the left if we take them correctly. Course, if you take it correctly, yes. Thank you. He depicted a state for Benny that a father, when he gives his child, he actually receives from that, he enjoys it. We have the 10. Do the actions of bestow between us from what the sages command us through the writings. Yes, what needs to change in the connection between us, so that we will truly come to a state like this. Instinctive love there is between a father and a son. What needs to enter in the connection between us, so that not just theoretically we will have such relations before do exercises in practice and talk about it, discover which forces are in then the intention we need to acquire. Will it truly lead us to such a state? That, or is it even more than what we know? In more, of course. More do it. Only through doing you can discern, yes, in the same direction what to do. Because this holidays, really it's felt these states that are being described in the articles we can understand what the final correction is. But we're far from this, so what can we really do? What can we take from this holiday or from these states for the work between us? A dative bestow and a dative reception is all by the intention whether I give to the other or receive from him. What difference is there between the giver and receiver, and so on? That's the way we decipher this. But that's far from the state that's being described is much higher than this. You're just describing, distinguishing between intentions. That's the work, or is there more than that from the intentions we understand about the do? Okay, so exercise, because you said to do exercises. Exercises is like try for every action to pay attention to what the intention is that the exercise. Yes, is there more than that, or okay to? No, just has to be more clear. Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. Yes, if you want then. Please, what is the relation between, and what's the connection between those vessels? Explain to us what is that form of vessel, and what's the form of vessel of Mott, and then we will know what the one and the lower one. You didn't answer me. I'm not able to organize this. What the connection between them is? It's written that it the but it's the that is upper to us, or the lower one relate to it the way you think. Why does L to? Because I'll tell you, in the same way he is greater, he's her uncle, she's smaller, she must hear. For if that is revealed only when H is revealed, you could say that's so the relation between and there's like a struggle who justice is with, and it's the same relation between. They just have a different type of connection. Yes, there is, and there's, of course it's not the same thing, because what is the difference? What does do when he sends? What is that action? He wants to operate through her a connection with the CLE, with the no. Well, how to say it? With the king waits for the state to be revealed, that this whole situation that they want to lose Judaism and the Jews, and he understands that only if he sends assent to the king it can work. Yes, what does he count on? What is a law that makes him say, if I send assent, then that'll be the right form for revelation of the light of? But in what form does he have the ability to relate to the king? So is still the form the additional form of? Is it an additional is revealed when there's a revelation of? Yes, all right, that's it. We're speaking about the end of correction. Yes, how can the W to receive be corrected completely and reach the final correction in order to bestow? The desire to receive can be corrected completely if upon every bit of the desire in it there will be the intention in order to bestow. So you work with that desire, but in an opposite fashion. That's it. Okay, from the state that we don't see the difference between, and it's only through the Creator. No, we can do it also in our life. Try it is constantly revealed in Coes as the wicked. This light of always revealed as wicked, he's not always revealed in Cursion. A man is one of the lines of our egoism, one of its expressions. Not of course, it has the a great nation, a great control over the egoistic desire. Latin 27. How do we implement the term of being drunk and high and lift the borders between reception and bestow and the 10 in order to attain spiritual unity? We need to work on that, and then it'll be clear to us where the vessels of reception are, where the vessels of are, what's the gap between them, and where we are able to sort them. That's not for now. Yet that is not yet for now. I guess that symbolizes the end of correction and reaching the middle light, and all the height and depth of the desire. Yes, they say that reaching the middle line is the incorporation of right and left and right. Yes, correction of the left through the right. We always talk about it. So what is the second thing? That the left must be in the right. Maybe that's what it writes, that Knew because nobody knew, but he was already there before everything. Knowing, yes, it could be that he's already included from the left. Okay, thank you all. Right, Mar 11. The drink that a man wants to receive so much for ourselves, that light of what is that in our life, where can we find it? Who do we see it? If we were to reveal our vessels of reception, then we will discover that the light of H is ready to fill it. So that's it. No. Well, it's to be happy in a rule. How can I be happy if I still can't be so? But we're already incorporated from the future, which we need to reach. That remains for us. Just all that remains is for us to discover those vessels. How to be happy just from yearning to be. If there's a longing before you and a reason for the joy in the future, then you can really integrate with it and be happy in the present. I have no excuse to what you're asking, because you don't have this vessel in your hand yet. It's filled with light. That's why there's no answer to this. Okay. No, well, last. So in the end, what is the most concealed is bestow, because the empty vessel of reception is revealed. That's clear. The intention somewhat I can depict, but bestow is something that's so, that's what has to be revealed. That to reveal the vessel of ball, and that is to see that we don't know what bestow is, that we don't know and we want to know. Eventually it's revealed, or it never is revealed. Eventually it is revealed, of course, but when there's a deficiency for it can, so the most important is the deficiency. Yes, I'm being given a sign that I have taught. We are going to go to a summary of what we heard. Summary in the tense of what we heard. Now workshop. Please. Okay, my man. So what are the important points? The main thing is to move forward in the connection between the friends, and all these concepts will be clarified with our effort to connect our struggle between our nature, the will to receive, compared to the will to bestow. We constantly have to be a tendency towards above reason. Every time a bit of the is revealed, we always have to go to the right after the revelation of the left line. We need to grow the right line. The act of the Lord one is to choose upon and to prefer adhesion on or any other state. For the light of to fill all of creation, the whole CLE, and they also wrote such a thing that really moved me, that I just want to feel that the upper one controls. Mish says that there's an article they prefer their state more than M, and all the Jews in Shan took the control of a man, and it was hard to accept the reason of, but they understand that going through the left, called knowledge, is easier than walking the path of their Creator. So we have to pay good attention and to look at ourselves, which path we're choosing, and how to see the difference between them. What's easier or more correct between bitter and sweet truth, and false, and only by the upper one awakening we can remain in life. Meaning adhesion is called life, but not through the awakening of the lower one is, that needs only by the awakening of the upper one. If she extends, she loses her discernment. There are many discernments about the right and left, so Miller brought TSD into there. Somehow on the side of H was a very nice scrutiny, but let's talk about that. Want to give was an emphasis to something that I heard, the going with your eyes shut each time it's written about such a thing. It really awakens in me a great desire to go in element powerfully after the 10 after their Creator, after that move that R is leading thus through, and how to differentiate between my ego and the purpose of creation and of the group. That each time awakens in me and awakens me this way. So it turns out that even with such a prayer we could walk all day long in adhesion after our path, on our path towards the purpose of creation, together without our mind, without our intellect, to simply push forward by behalf. The summary of the lesson is to put an emphasis very strongly on the connection of love between us, that without that we aren't even getting close at all to the state stow of M at the King's gates. All these things aren't connected to us if we're not working towards love. Friends, which is the summary, we have no lights to draw. We I've no ropes if we don't have ropes of love between us, and as Alex mentioned before, the awakening of the upper one, so we have to be in a state where everything that comes to us only awakens more of a need and a yearning to be in connection and love between us, along with the Creator. We need to prefer and delight of to engage all the time in restricting ourselves to discount control and simply prefer to constantly grow like we grow they grow. We need to be even more in overcoming to grow the acts of mercy between us and to enter it with all our forces. Towards the holiday everything starts from, so there is the awakening of the upper one twice. First time it happens right at the top, that where Sitsi didn't ask to increase when he said what was the first trigger, so it tells us that we just have to want forces to work, connection, love of friends, forces to work, and at some point the time will come and the upper one will illuminate the left line and activate the state of bullying the second time with her. It's also fascinating that she goes to the king. She knows she's going to die if there won't be an awakening from above. She knows that she has to take that leap of faith, and the king has a second awakening, but there's no request for Fran below today. I really felt also when Ra was explaining, and through the questions of the friends, how the whole story of the scroll is taking place in each of us with the desire to receive and the desire to bestow with H and M and all those things. I really connected to what I started to say, that this walking with our eyes shut in concealment is really above reason, and to devote oneself to the whole process of annulment and demin and love. Friends, that's it. We should truly be able to realize this whole process in us, one towards another and towards the Creator, towards the King. Okay friends, let's advance to the next part of the lesson. In the next part we have a special gift lesson in the study of the 10, 16, 15 apart. About we won't be able to watch the entire lesson, but we'll start it. It'll be a recorded lesson from the 25th of March 2002, test part 15 transition, and we'll get there. Friends, there is no sound, we're taking care of it. That's the Creator doing my abilities as much as I can. I have to disconnect it from the light, and that means that I'm destroying it, receiving forces from above to disconnect these desires from myself that they won't awaken in me. That's a correction. What is concealment? What is ESD? ESD is the measure of concealment. That's in very simply, ESD is the measure of concealment that there is in the nation completely, and the Creator. That once we talk about the king, it's like, or once we're talking about the king like the Creator, the King of the world.